Wednesday, August 12th, and you're watching the Hammer Daily here on the Hammer Betting Network, presented by our good friends over at FanDuel. I'm your host today, Jay Scoover, alongside my producer for the next hour and a bit, Jaleel, working his way behind the boards. And we got a great show for you today, a lot to talk about, and it's August 12th, and we're getting tons of training camp news, tons of injuries, which you hate to see. We're going to break that all down here on the show live today. Plus, we're going to talk some more NFL futures with Clevta. We're going to talk some Survivor stuff as well. I know it's super early to talk Survivor, but I wanted to talk just a little bit with TA. Plus, he was a little mad that I splashed cold water on his Houston Texans. He loves the Texans this year. In his free preview, he has them going all the way to the Super Bowl. So he's going to tell me why I'm wrong, why me and Drew are wrong about splashing cold water on this Houston Texans team. It feels like they're... I'll let him speak whatever he wants to say about that Texans team. After that, we got Ryan Noonan come on. We're going to talk some FedEx Championship. The field of 69 players. Shout out Daniel Berger making, I don't know why he withdrew. He withdrew. So now instead of 70, we got 69. Nice. We'll talk through all that and more. Who's going to win, top 10, top 5, top 20, all that stuff, and who Noonan likes for today. Welcome into the chat, all you guys. Kyle, I see you in here. Amber, TQ, Mike, AD. Yeah, read the chat. Do me a favor. Read the chat instead of smashing the like button, because it'll tell you to do something else today. Instead, if you're new to the channel as well, hit that subscribe button. Let's get into today's show. Couple injuries at a training camp. Sounds like Josh Jacobs. Is he even going to play this year? I thought he was going to get suspended. Likely out another week. I believe, what was it? Someone just pulled up like 10 minutes before we went live to air. I'll find that in just a second. I saw it come across my feed. Tons of injuries throughout camp. Got to stay on top of this stuff. Because, there's a lot of injuries happening. All right. Let's get into today's show. Of course we can see the hearts, Amber. Of course we can see the hearts. This show is brought to you by FanDuel. Baseball fans, the MLB season is in full swing, and FanDuel's giving you a chance to call your shot with daily dingers. Join the action. It's easy. Just make your free pick on who's hitting a home run in their game, and if you're right, you'll get a profit boost to use on your next bet for an extra chance at extra winnings. It's just another reason why FanDuel is the home for home runs. A couple home runs plays we can get to in just a second. So if you're ready to play your game, head over to FanDuel.com/forward-progress. Get started right now. That's FanDuel.com/forward-progress to opt into daily dingers and make your free pick on who's hitting a home run. Play ball and swing for the fences on FanDuel, an official partner of the MLB. Must be 21 plus and present in select states. For Kansas, in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, 18 plus and present in DC, Kentucky, or Wyoming. No purchase necessary. Opt-in required. Bonus issues not withdrawal with profit boost token. Restrictions apply, including any token expiration and max withdrawal amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 1-800-MY-RESET. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/John in Connecticut. Visit ccpg.org/John in Connecticut. Visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 1-800-375-050. Massachusetts, call 1-778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. Call 1-877-770-7867 in Louisiana. Just a quick little slip up there. It's all right. Nobody noticed. Who got hurt today? I saw this and I wanted to bring this up. Emeka Egbuka, that's who it is. 35 minutes before we go to air. Limping and went down to the ground. He's up, but he's limping. Uh-oh. Not very good. One thing I want to bring up, though, is my good friend, Ben Johnson, talking today about not only does he want to win the Super Bowl, but he wants to have the best damn offense in the league. He wants to put up the most points. What was it? More points than the 2013 Denver Broncos team that averaged 37 points per game. And if you hear that and you don't want to click Caleb Williams, Offensive Player of the Year, 125-1, you got serious problems. If that's the goal for this season, Caleb Williams is going to have he's going to go nuclear. Their defense isn't very good. If they want to score points, they're going to need to score points to win games. And if we're going to have a quarterback win Offensive Player of the Year, I talked about it before, but I feel like this is a guy who you want to take. Rask going to get some more. Oh my goodness. That's a guy who you're going to want to take. Also, I wonder if what's his name? Coleman? Jonah Coleman. There he is. 80-1 right now. Offensive Rookie of the Year. J.K. Dobbins. Hurt in practice. Again. What a surprise. R.J. Harvey underwhelming last year. I wonder how things are going to be different with new play caller in Denver. But maybe that's a look that we take. 80-1. 80-1. Jonah Coleman. All right. Let's get into today's show. before we do that, actually, you know what? I promised you guys a home run bet. Give me 1 second. We'll find one right now. Is TA available in the background? He's good to go. All right. We'll bring him on up here in just a second. You know what? We'll just bring him on up, and you're going to have to wait for the home run pick for today. All right. Let's bring him on up. He is a tortured Browns fan, the owner of CleveAnalytics.com. TA, how's it going?
Can you hear me, Jason?
We can hear you. How's it going?
Good. I told you I'm picking up my daughter from summer camp right now. It's her last day, so I'm in the car. So not the most ideal situation, but anything for Hammer Daily.
I appreciate you. Anytime you can come on is always a treat. And yeah, I'll promise not to swear, so your daughter doesn't hear anything. But yeah, let's get into today's show here. Where do you want to start? Because you messaged me today. You're saying I want to talk. Sorry, you missed this. George in the chat saying it's the Hitman special with you in the car. You messaged me. You said, you know what? Like, what's your deal with the Texans? Why are you trying to splash cold water on this team? I like this team a lot. I think that they have a chance to go to the Super Bowl. In your preview, you had them going to the Super Bowl, a team that could overperform their win total. Had them as contenders. A contender that I'm high on, specifically in your preview. Talk me through why you like the Texans so much.
It's just, because there's others that have also talked about Texans being, I think Aaron Schatz had them as their Super Bowl winner through DVOA. So like there's other groups that have discussed Texans as their favorite out of the AFC. And then there's others, even in our forward progress chat, there's people throwing cold water on them, which I totally get. And I heard you yesterday with Drew. By the way, met Drew at Bet Bash, awesome guy. Had a good time with him. But yeah, I heard you guys kind of poo-pooing the Texans this year. So it feels like there's a kind of a contentious opinion on that team. And so to me, I just think that the rest of the AFC is very flawed. I mean, between Buffalo's roster outside of Josh Allen is below average. I think it's a mediocre roster. I think there's plenty of holes there. New coordinator on defense. Obviously Joe Brady as head coach. Baltimore, new head coach. The offense, getting a little stale. The defense, subpar. You've got, other teams like Denver, Jacksonville. We're looking at some major regression there. So New England, maybe, with the schedule. So, I just think there's a lot of holes, generally speaking, with the AFC. But just in terms of Houston, I think it's all about C.J. Stroud. It's all about perception. And, as we've seen, we see time and time again, it's a lot of near-term bias. What we've seen most recently is how we view, players and teams. And obviously he was awful in the playoffs against New England, probably deserved to be benched. He's had a history of playing poorly in cold and bad weather outdoors all the way back to his Ohio State days. So, it just has continued in the NFL. So, that, not to say that's the entire reason why he struggled, but, we forget he had a really good regular season. He was 9th in EPA, 15th in success rate, and this is behind a bottom 5 offensive line. This is with 0 run game. Whatever metric you want to use, they were between 30 and 32nd in all rushing metrics. They had the most injured wide receiver tight end room in the NFL, according to adjusted games lost. So he did not have a lot of help, and he still put up, top 10 to 15 level quarterback numbers in the regular season. And then, he crapped the bed in the playoffs. There's no doubt about it. So I think everyone is just viewing those last 2 games, and especially the game against New England, as like, this is who he is. And this is why we can't trust him. And I get it. But I don't think that's the entire picture. I think if they can, win their division, if they definitely have a shot to get the number 1 seed. Last year they started off slow, and so it took a little while to pick up steam. They were not able to get that number 1 seed. They did not win their division, so that put them behind the 8 ball a little bit. But if they can, they've got a very manageable schedule. I do think that they can get a top seed and potentially get home field throughout the playoffs. And look, if you go back. I know my Browns, in his rookie season, he torched them in the wild card game. I think they scored over 40 points against, one of the best defenses in the NFL at home against the Chargers 2 years ago in that wild card game. He torched the Chargers at home and had a big game, and they won in the wild card game. So like, it's not as if he's only performed poorly in the playoffs in his career. It's been, clearly outdoor games have been his bugaboo. So if they can get home field, or if they can play in comfortable environments, I think they really have a shot to get there. I think the run game will be a lot better with David Montgomery. This team was dead last in converting touchdowns inside the 5-yard line last year. Just a lot of getting stuffed and going for three, or just not making fourth downs. Now you turn a lot of those 3s to 7s, inside the 5-10 yard line with Montgomery. That changes. That can move the needle. The early down offense should improve with a better run game. I think the offensive line is getting trashed a lot. I think it's got definite room for upside. Wyatt Teller, a veteran guard from my Browns, is going to start at guard. He's not exactly, what he once was, but he's still a solid veteran in the interior. You've got rookie Kalen Rutledge out of Georgia Tech, who they moved up for in the first round. If he can really, if he could step up right away, like that totally changes the perception and the upside of this offensive line. And again, they're not going to be a top 10 O line, but if they're just in the 20 to 25 range, you get Nico Collins, hopefully for a full season, and you get Tank Dell back. Like, I just think that there's a lot more around CJ Stroud this year. And we know the defense is a lead. They added Jadeveon Clowney. So that is my case for the Texans. And I understand the skepticism, but I think it's a little bit unwarranted, and it's purely based on what we just saw at the end of last year.
All right, that's fair. And I know that we were like kind of all over the Texans at the end of the year because they were like some crazy prices on them to win the Super Bowl. Obviously didn't really come through. Equal in the chat saying a lot of people in the chat disagree with the O-line sentiment. Need that O-line to be closer to league average compared to the dog shit it's been past few years. Equal saying they will not be.
Wait, hold on a second. Let's go back. So the O-line was dog shit last year, right?
Yes.
We all agree?
Yes.
If CJ Stroud was just not terrible against New England, do people not agree they win that game? And then you go into Denver against Jared Stidham. Like, think about how close they were to getting to the Super Bowl. By the way, that the Houston team went on the road, and G-Stack will remember this one because we talked about it, went into Seattle on a Monday night and went toe-to-toe with the Seahawks. They held the Seahawks offense the single worst offensive performance all year. Like, they could play with Seattle in the Super Bowl. So, I mean, again, you don't need the offensive line.
All right, we lost you there for a second, but it sounds like there's what you're saying is there's room for the offense to improve. We know that the defense is going to be good. Their win total right now on FanDuel is around 9.5. And I want to get into win totals here because I want to take the other side, and I want to do like a fun little contest with you. And I think we talked about this. We talked about this beforehand. So what we're going to do is we picked 5 teams, right, that we both have differing opinions on. Right now, the Texans win totals over. You think they're over 9.5 at -140 is good, yeah?
Yep, I do. And to win division.
All right. So okay, and to win the division. All right, I love it. All right, so I'm gonna take the other side, the under 9.5 in this friendly little bet, and we'll talk about some more win totals as we continue. But before we talk about that, I want you to talk to me every single year. I message you. I say, what is that win total stat that you said that I ask you about every single offseason? And it's about the percentage of teams whose win total is off by 2 or more games. Talk me through the volatility there is in win totals versus expectation.
Yeah, and I sent you the chart. I don't have it in front of me, but it's the alternative win totals are a much better bet. Well, they had been historically because it's not like these markets are that efficient. There's a larger sample, so it's not like a big chunk of win totals fall within half a game or even one game of the stated win totals. Usually when teams, fail, they fail a lot. And when they prosper a lot. So I know historically it's been like, between, call it, about 50 to 55% of teams end up off of their win total either way by at least 2 games. and then it's about a third of win totals are off by at least 3 games. I think the last 2 seasons we've seen like historical levels where about a quarter of these win totals are off by like 4 games. So it is a bad idea to kind of ladder if you really like a team, or if you think a team is really going to fail. Laddering one way or the other from a alternative win total perspective. We'll say the market did not used to price this correctly. It's become a little more mainstream the last year or two, so the market is a little bit more I guess in line with what the pricing should be. So you don't get as much of a positive expected value as you once were, but still, I think there's some room for some of these teams to either go above or below their win total by multiple games.
Yeah, 28% of teams were off their win total by 4 or more games, or less, or off the win total by over or under by 4 games. So it's pretty crazy in terms of like if you're going to be betting win totals. Keep that in mind. Maybe look towards some alts if you're really high on a team like Ecold is on the Jags. Maybe don't just take their 9.5. Maybe take their 10.5 over, 11.5 over. Or if you're like TA and you want to fade them, maybe you take the under. So TA, let's get into this. I listed a couple teams here. And how do you want to do this? Right, we have the Broncos, the Jets, the Texans, the Jags, and the Bears that we all disagree on. How do you want to do? Do you want to just do like just one unit each, and whoever ends up on top buys the loser dinner? Buys the winner dinner.
Yeah, we talked about this beforehand. So, like, they're just, of course, you like to go. I think you're contrarian just to me in general.
That's not true. First of all, hold on. I hate to cut you off, but you came on here like last week or 2 weeks ago saying like, why are you high on the Bears? Why are you high on the Jags? Why are you high on the Broncos? I want to talk about how you're wrong about this stuff. And then now this week you're like, I want to talk about how you're wrong about the Texans. You're the one who's contrarian to me.
All right, that's fair. So no, it's funny because a lot of the teams you mentioned that we're opposite on, there's a lot of kind of negative, positive regression when it comes to those teams. So I've been doing this for so long, and maybe I'm jaded, but I've just seen it just happen so often where, and the Jags, Broncos, and Bears all fall in this category where just their win-loss record last year was just not indicative at all of any of their underlying metrics, true values of the team. I mean, they were, especially the Bears and Jags, were so fueled on defense by turnovers. They were like, I think they were 1-2 in the NFL in turnovers created last year. Their defenses from a pure down-to-down basis were way worse than what their final results were. I mean, I think the Jags were essentially a league average defense when you strip away turnovers, and Chicago was a bottom 5 defense when you strip away turnovers. And not to say turnovers, you can't continue that going forward, but history tells you that it's very difficult to repeat. Getting all of the right bounces, winning a bunch of close games like the Bears, just constantly falling behind and then needing miracle plays by Caleb Williams, or recovering an onside kick against Green Bay, or needing a fumble by Jaden Daniels as they're running out the clock against Washington. Like, there's so many things that happen that are just really difficult to maintain and sustain from year to year, that I'm willing to essentially go against that. Now, I do think that coaching matters, and those teams do have high floors, like a Ben Johnson or Sean Payton, especially. So it's not like I think the bottom's going to fall out of these teams, but I do think I'd much rather be on the side of they're just not going to continue the positive kind of positive regression or positive variance when it comes to turnovers and late game results. So those are all teams that I think are quality teams that have good coaching, but I just don't think that they're. I don't even think any of them are playoff teams except for maybe Denver, and even they, I think, are borderline. And that's only because their defense is really good and didn't rely on turnovers. But I just don't believe in Bo Nix, and I think that when you're beaten, you got to go to OT to beat Marcus Mariota on the road. You barely beat a horrible Jets team overseas. There's just so many situations where they needed miracle. I mean, remember that Raider game on Thursday night where neither team could move the ball?
Yes.
And I mean, there's just so many situations. They needed like 1-score games, just like close game luck to beat some of these horrible teams. So anyway, I'm willing to fade all that. And then with the Jets, we could talk about the Jets, but I don't know if you have a comment on how I view the Bears and the Jags and
I
Denver, but they all kind of all fall in that same
So
bucket.
the one pushback I want to make is like, yes, I can understand your point of view where you're talking about regression with these teams, but the Jags had 13 wins last year, the Broncos had 14 wins last year, the Bears 11 wins last year. It's like their win totals are all priced at like essentially 9.5 and 8.5 for like 9.5 for the Broncos, slightly juiced towards over -120, and then it's like almost like flat nines on FanDuel, where the over 8.5 for the Jags and the Bears is around -140, and then the under 9.5 is around -140. So it's like roughly 9 wins projected for both these teams, 10 for the Broncos. I feel like that regression is already being baked in enough where it's like I think it's maybe gone too far.
No, totally agree. And by the way, I have not bet these unders.
Yes.
This is a friendly wager
Contest,
as to
yes.
kind of negative sentiment. So I just want to be clear.
Okay.
I agree. I'll baked into this. I think the numbers are right around where you would expect them to be. But again, I'm just this is a friendly wager, heads up as to this is more about sentiment, like whether I like these teams this year or not. So so just to be clear on that. But I agree with you a lot. I mean, the market 5 years ago, 10 years ago did not bake in this sort of regression to the degree that it should have. And so it was a lot easier to make, especially on the alts with these. But yeah, like the market is much smarter now, more efficient.
Yeah.
So from a win total perspective, you do get a lot of this baked in. So I do understand and I do agree with that.
All right, so here's what we're going to do for the win totals. We mentioned the Texans. You're taking the over 9.5 -140. Or honestly, maybe we just don't even do the price because I feel like what I have listed out here is pretty fair in terms of like the juice that both of us have to play. You just want Texans over 9.5 wins. I get Texans under 9.5 wins. You want Jags under 9 wins, Bears under 9 wins. I get Bears and Jags over 9 wins. Obviously, if it falls on that 9, it's a push. And then I'm taking the Broncos over 9.5 wins. You're getting the Broncos under 9.5 wins. Let's get to the last team I want to talk about, which was the Jets. And we talked a little bit about the Jets last time you were on. Jets 5.5 wins right now, -120 towards the under here. You like the Jets. You had them as a team again in your preview. We talked about this before that you're high on relative to market, or you think a team that could potentially overperform their market expectations. And I know it's because of the team that they have on paper is not a bad team. Right? Like Geno Smith, say what you will, he's like somewhat of a competent quarterback. Like he can play okay, but I just don't trust this coaching staff at all, which makes me so worried.
Yeah, so the coaching staff is definitely the one area that I'm concerned about. Although, look, I don't think Aaron Glenn is a really good head coach, but it's only been 1 year, and so like it's really hard to completely judge whether he's at least competent enough. But yeah, that is definitely there's 2 pushbacks, really 3 pushbacks. One is the coaching. 2 is there is nothing behind Geno Smith right now. Cade Klubnik, the rookie from Clemson, I think is their backup, or Bailey Zappi. So like that, obviously an injury to Geno just totally derails things. And then 3 is you would expect a team like the Jets that's building for the future, that has 3 number ones next year, likely would want to lose at the end of the year, but they did not position themselves this year in the offseason. I don't agree with what they did, but they clearly have reasons for doing it. They signed a lot and traded for Minka Fitzpatrick, for example, a lot of kind of short-term veteran players who are great locker room guys to mix in with some of their young players and their rookies. And so they put on, if you look at the starting lineup for the both offense and defense, like this is not a 5.5 win lineup. This is much better than what you would expect for a team with that sort of win total. And so I think from a pure talent perspective, I mean, they already have a top half of the NFL offensive line. They have multiple receivers with Garrett Wilson, A.D. Mitchell, even Omar Cooper, who they drafted. They've got 2 legitimate tight ends with Mason Taylor and Kenyon Sadiq, their number 1 pick. They got Breece Hall, who we know is one of the better running backs in the league. So you've got a very competent offense. And then defensively, guys like Minka Fitzpatrick and Demario Davis and David Onyemata and Joseph Asai. And they traded for Tavondre Sweat, which I thought was a really sharp trade. Like they have legitimate players on both sides of the ball, and it's just a matter of can the coaching staff kind of get out of the way and not screw it up. I think that's clearly a question. But and then you add in the fact, so I like the talent, just a pure roster perspective. they have no, I mean, from a, schedule perspective, they don't play a single game where they have a net rest disadvantage against their
Mm.
opponent, but they're tied for the NFL lead with the most games where they actually have an advantage over their opponent from a rest perspective. So that's positive. They've got a couple of times they have opponents coming off of a road Monday night game on a short week against them and going on the road to the Meadowlands again, which is a really tough spot historically. They've got two different situations where they're the beneficiary of that. And then that only happens like 4 or 5 times for the entire season. And they're actually the beneficiaries of it twice. So, from a schedule perspective, it works out well. And then just, we talked about regression. Like this is a team that, had the lowest, the fewest turnovers generated in NFL history with 4 and had no interceptions, which has never happened before. And I went back and looked. I mean, if you look at just single digit takeaways in a season, which has only happened 4 other times, every single situation that has happened, the next season, that team has generated at least 25 turnovers the following season, including your Jags last year, by the way. They went from 9 turnovers in 2024 to like 33 last year. And again, not saying that's going to completely flip automatically this year, but I mean, odds will tell you that you're more likely to be towards the middle of the pack at least. That's going to add on its own a good 1.5, maybe 2 wins
Mm-hmm.
just from winning, those tight games where you get the bounce of the ball. So anyway, add that all up, and I just think that 5.5 is too low. I think this is a 7-win team when it's all said and done.
I just see Frank Reich as their offensive coordinator, just like 1,000 yard stare where I just don't want any part of Frank Reich. Like just completely like the game is it feels like the game has left Frank Reich behind. No motion in his in his no pre-snap motion at all. Runs a lot of like probably won't lean on 12 personnel and 13 personnel, which we've been seeing a lot of as like the new sort of meta.
By the way, you say that he actually came out last week and said he wants to use a lot more 12 personnel. He's actually I'm just saying,
fair,
like,
fair,
give him, give him credit. Like, he at least is acknowledging that he needs to revamp his system and his style. And they drafted Sadiq to go with Mason Taylor, so they have the personnel to do it. So I wouldn't totally discount a guy like that, kind of, stepping away for a few years and figuring things out and deciding to come back with a little bit different scheme. I don't know. Yeah, I agree with you. Not ideal, but like I've seen work. By the way, Nathaniel Hackett is a much worse coordinator than Reich, and so like there are worse guys to have than Frank Reich. Not ideal, but he at least he's had some success in his career.
Yes, absolutely. The Hackett stuff is crazy. Like some of these old offensive coordinators that get recycled year in year out. It's like the same bad teams do this. Like I don't understand why you don't just take a shot at a guy who might be better. Like obviously Declan Doyle probably got his pick of the litter of where he wanted to go. But like I'm sure there's guys out there who are young who are probably forward thinking offensive assistants that could be promoted to offensive coordinator. Instead, you're just retreading Nathaniel Hackett, Frank Reich.
Yeah, I agree with that. I will say that it's a combination of either, front office execs are just like nervous about, promoting some 30-year-old like a David Blau who's never done it before. Like it's not easy. Not every GM or front office wants to do that. And then also like some of these younger guys, like a Nathan Shieldhouse, sticks around with Sean McVay, right? Like he'd rather just spend another year and kind of have his pick of the litter. And not be forced into a bad job potentially. So you get some of that. I do agree though. Like I don't understand how Nathaniel Hackett is anywhere in the NFL right now, but he is.
Yeah, and I know Adam Gase is like somewhere as like an offensive assistant. Like there's just tons of names that are floating around that are just like, why are you here? Why are you here? Before you head out here, TA, any chat was mentioning some bets they've made in week one. Any bets you've made so far in week one that you want to talk about quickly?
I've made one so far, and it was news related. I liked it anyway, but I wanted to get ahead of any movement. I took under 47.5 with the Washington Philly game we talked about in our chat. I think Rob is on it as well.
Yes.
So he agrees with me. I think Washington's defense is much better than a year ago. Not as great, but they definitely improved a lot of the issues they had last year. Again, another team. They had 9 turnovers all year forced. So I think you'll get a little bit of regression. I have no idea if it's going to happen game one, but I think their defense was bad last year. Some of it was a little bit due to the fact that they just weren't able to get lucky with some of these turnovers. So, yeah, I do think their defense will improve, generally speaking. They got rid of some of their older guys who are slow, like a Bobby Wagner and Von Miller, et cetera. And then I just think the Eagles' offense is just, without AJ Brown, if you look some of their games the last couple of years without AJ Brown, like they've struggled for the most part. I think one game against the Giants last year was the only time that they've really exceeded their kind of baseline expectations. From an offensive side without AJ Brown. So I do think there's a little bit of adjustment there. Your boy Mekhi Lemon, who knows if he'll even play week one with his injury. I do think with Sean Mannion, you got a new system, so that could take some time.
Mm-hmm.
And Philly does not play their starters at all in preseason. So you're going to have an offense that is not used to the system starting day one, could see a slow start. And then I think with Washington, obviously the Laramie Tunsil news, that's a player who, affects his team in that offense as much as any non-quarterback you'll see. So I do think that's a big loss there. And, just not a team with a lot of weapons outside of Terry McLaurin. I mean, Stephon Diggs, fine. He's more of a possession guy. And then the Philly defense is elite. So, again, another team with a brand new OC with David Blau could take some time as well to adjust. So I think for the first game, two new OCs, not a lot of, starters not playing in preseason, you get slow starts. And I think that's a high number at 47.5. Obviously 47 being key. So if it's still available at 47, I think it's fine. But that would be my play for week one.
All right. The under in the Eagles and the Washington game. Chat's also mentioned a couple. Connors on Bears -2.5, Pittsburgh -2.5, -120, Broncos +3, -115, Titans money line -134. Ski Colt also wants me to ask you about an offensive player of the year. Okay, quickly, what is your opinion on this offensive player of the year bet? 400 to 1, Parker Washington. And then also tell me about, let's talk a little bit about offensive rookie of the year with my boy Jacoby Lane.
Parker Washington, I mean, I don't mind it. I mean, the guy was awesome at the end of last year. He was literally, I think, PFF's second rated wide receiver in the back half of the year. I certainly can see like a world where that exists at that number. So I like it. I would not, disagree with the price at all. And then he's got a really good offense, obviously, with Liam Cohn and Trevor Lawrence. So don't mind that at all. I personally have Nico Collins 40 to 1. Again, my Houston love. But I think that if, it historically has gone to either wide receiver or running back in recent times, a receiver who can lead the NFL in yardage, which he certainly can do.
Mm-hmm.
He just has got to stay healthy. And I think he's got a shot to win it. I think you wanted to talk about rookie of the year.
Yeah. I know you like Jacoby Lane, but any interest in Jonah Coleman with like the news of J.K.? No. Okay.
Now, forget about a Sean Payton offense, running back by committee for life. He's not going to – no one's going to have any shot at
no one's going to be relevant.
No. I mean, I like Jacoby Lane. Again,
yeah.
I put that in my preview before. Like, it feels like every single day there's a tweet from Underdog or somebody where how glowing of a camp he's having. So this is before all of that. I think it might have been 80 to 1 when I sent that out. Now it's like 50 to 1 or something. So I like Jacoby Lane just because, I want to be in a good offense, a good quarterback who can throw the ball down the field. Baltimore, Zay Flowers is great, but he's more of a slot guy, underneath guy. They have no outside weapons at all. So no Isaiah Likely this year.
Mm-hmm.
So I think from a red zone perspective, he can gobble up a handful of touchdowns. Great. Guy's got great body control, long arms. He can win a lot of those 50-50 balls, so you can get some cheaper touchdowns. And then, you just hope that the yardage is there. So I still think there's value there. I don't think it's down enough. But he's the guy that I took. I mean, I also like I like Jadarian Price when he was like 10 to 1. But he's gotten some love, and I know that he's down. I mean, you're on one of the best teams in the NFL, and you're the lead dog for a while, and so you're going to get a lot of opportunities. This is where, by the way, if you have access to prediction markets and you can get a guy like Price, I mean, after the first month, he might be the leader. You might be able to trade out of it and make a nice profit before Charbonnet comes back. So that's an opportunity to take advantage of a prediction market, for example. So.
Yeah, that's why I don't like taking Jadarian Price. Jadarian Price is actually plus 850 right now. I don't know if what seems like a lot of love going towards Jordan Tyson and Carnell Tate. Because Jadarian Price last time I checked was around plus 600. But yeah, I think I agree with the Jadarian Price stuff. I just don't see like Charbonnet would have to be awful when he comes back and essentially not play, because we know how these awards work. We know with Tyler Shuck, like what we saw last year, it's what you do in the last couple of weeks that matter more than anything else. You can not play for the first half of the year, and they'll only care about the last half. So if Jadarian Price is a great first half, but barely gets his touches in the second half, I just don't think that he'll be live.
I will say, look, if the guy is good,
of course,
in the first month or so, like they're gonna ride him out. But
yes,
they do like the multi-back system. So
yes,
we'll see. But I do think like from the first month, you could see easily he's just gonna be the leader. And again, you can trade out of it and do whatever you want at that point. But that's an option there. So.
All right. Before you head out here, I've been clicking around on Cleve Analytics or cleveanalytics.com, and I saw your survivor pool looks incredibly improved based on last year. I appreciate the little dashboard you put together. Have you started to do some survivor work?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, I've really spent some time trying to tweak the tool. It's an optimizer. I mean, obviously, it's just one piece of the puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much that goes into it, but I've essentially added capabilities. So it's got between the Circa Survivor, it's got the splash pool, and then also just your standard 18-week home pool if you want. You can select number of entries either at the beginning or mid-season, so you can update how many entries remain. So I think there's a couple of nice uses of it. And then also you can lock in if you have very specific teams that you want to lock into very specific weeks, you can do that and run an optimizer to see what your path could look like. So you can do a lot of trial and error. You can also probably the secret sauce that is hard. It's really hard to pin down when you get a large pool like this, like a Circa or like a splash pool, is what the pool pick percentage is going to be. That drives so much of projections and future value, all those sorts of things. You can override, you can insert whatever projection and pick projection you want for any single team during the week. So, and you see again how you can play around with it and see how that changes things. So anyway, those are a couple of the features that I think are interesting, and check it out. And I think we could, I've got a map, just a pure path from Circa, but I think I'm going to tweak it a little bit, and there's a long way to go. So
Absolutely,
it'll be interesting. I mean, the Chargers are interesting because the first 2 weeks, those are like by far the best value.
Yeah.
So we'll see how high they are and from a pick percentage, but yeah, it's a couple of weeks away, so looking forward to it.
Looking forward to it. Almost, I believe we're like exactly a month away from the start of the NFL season, which is going to be awesome. TA, appreciate you joining the show. You can follow TA on Twitter at CleveTA. You can check out his website at cleveanalytics.com. Cleve, appreciate you. We'll chat soon.
All right, see you.
All right, great stuff there from Cleve TA. We forgot to even mention what the punishment is for the loser. TA's buying me dinner at Bet Bash. When I smoke him in this in our opinion-based win totals, opinion-based, sentiment-based win total fades of each other, I'm gonna smoke him, and he's gonna give me a nice steak dinner at Bet Bash. And if I lose, I'm not going to Bet Bash. It's as simple as that. All right. Let's get into our next guest here. Running a little bit behind. Apologize to Ryan for that one, but let's bring him on up. He's does some great work over at BetSports Golf. Also does some work for 4for4 Football. Would love to pick his brain for some football after we talk a little bit of golf here. Ryan Noonan joins the show today. Ryan, how's it going?
It's good, man. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to get out to Vegas for Circa weekend in a couple of weeks as well. I'm getting some of those in too. So love the Survivor talk and all that. It's here. It's hard not to. It's hard to like the duality of man right now, trying to still balance the end of the football season, or start of the football season, the end of the golf season.
Yeah, it's perfect. It like almost leads into each other perfectly here. And I will say before you head out, I'm gonna at the end of the show, I'm gonna ask you for your favorite NFL future that you've bet so far. So we'll keep that in the back of your mind. Let you think about it a little bit while we talk some. I guess golf postseason is what we'll call this, because we have the FedEx Cup happening today. 69 player field. No Daniel Berger. He withdrew. Talk me through this. What type of how the course plays. The type of player who can succeed on this course, the archetype of golfer. Talk me through what you're looking for when it comes to TPC Southwind.
Yeah, I actually like Southwind. Everyone hates the playoffs, and I get it. Like, I don't like the playoffs anyway, and the format's going to go away. They're obviously looking to make some changes, and I think heading to Memphis in like the middle of August is probably suboptimal. But just on surface, it's actually kind of an interesting course. It's a par 70s, 3 straight weeks of par 70 courses. So par 4ing, we dial it up a little bit because we lose those 2 easy scoring par 5s for these guys. And it's actually kind of an interesting place. We have basically Bermuda everywhere. They did change to Zoysia grass fairways a couple years ago, but Bermuda is really weird. It's very unpredictable. You get these flyer lies. The ball can sit down a little bit, and it really matters here. Playing from the fairway is like if I were going to, 50,000 foot view of the week, you have to play from the fairway. When you look at the greens and regulation rates from the fairway versus the rough here, fairway is like 73 and change, which is kind of right around tour average. It drops all the way down to like 33% greens and regulation rate from the rough here, which is like 20% below a standard PGA Tour average event. Now, these are smaller greens, but it's just really hard to score on a place where you're going to have to probably get into the low teens to win if you're playing from the rough off the tee. So guys that really can control their ball off the tee is just kind of a starting way this week. I really, can't have the pure bomb and find it guys. I really need the guys that are controlling it off the tee.
All right. Talk me through some of the golfers you like for this course here, because we talked through we keep talking about Scotty Scheffler week in, week out. He's only won one tournament this year. He won I believe it was the first tournament of the year, the Amex Open. And I'm looking at his history, like Masters he was second, Cadillac Championship second, RBC Heritage second, 3M Open second. Like he's just fallen short so many times. But right now priced at plus 480, where we see kind of like a compact top here, and then the rest are like 15-1. Rory McIlroy, Xander Schauffele 18-1. UFC brain on my mind. Talk me through the top of the board here with Scotty, Rory, and Xander, and like if you like these guys or if you're looking outside of them for outrights.
Yeah, it's impossible not to like Scotty. It's obviously always price prohibitive, and the price is never really something that we're looking to jump in the outright golf market. Typically, even if you're interested in Scotty, you might be able to get a better number live, right? So having to kind of pre-flop him is not necessarily ideal. And like you said, he hasn't won. Winning golf tournaments is really hard. He made it look easy for a couple of years, but if you're looking at anything predictive data-wise, he's fallen back a little bit, but he's still head and shoulders above everyone. Building models this week, he's comfortably first tier. Like my 2 through 9 is really compact, and Scotty is markedly ahead of everyone. But again, trying to bite off 5-1, sub 5-1, not great. Rory's here. Rory typically doesn't come here because the old format has changed a little bit too. And I thought that actually would lead to more guys not coming, because when you get to the final 30 in East Lake in a couple of weeks, they used to do this staggered start. So where you were in the rankings would impact your starting score, which is so stupid. I'm glad they went away with it. But Rory had no incentive to come here. So I'm surprised that he's here. So just where are these guys game at? Some of these guys we haven't seen since the Open 3 weeks ago. So like a Sam Burns is like that too, is really popular this week. We haven't seen Sam Burns. He just had a baby. He's not playing a lot of competitive golf in the last 3 weeks. I'm sure he's hitting a lot of balls, changing a lot of diapers too. So I'm just never clicking Scotty at a place that's, no cut, small fields, sub 5. It's really hard unless he was on a heater, had immaculate course history. We just haven't seen that. So he could go out and curb stomp this field, but I don't think we should pay for that on a Tuesday or Wednesday leading into the tournament.
All right. So you bring up a great point here. That's like, how do you price these golfers who've kind of been sitting out for the past couple weeks? Do you sort of favor form a little bit more, golfers who've been fresh, who've been playing competitive golf over the past couple of weeks, players who are in really good form? And then also I want you to talk through the having no cut line here. How does that affect live betting? I know you mentioned Scotty. If you want him, you might be better off just jumping in live. Is there another angle that you can think of in terms of no cut line and betting live?
Yeah, I mean, live is, I think, great if you're following the tournament. I think, using, some of the predictive strokes gain data, and you get a sense of, how a guy's playing versus what's actually happening is, I think, really, really important and a smart way to do it in terms of trying to diversify your portfolio. You like these guys like a Scotty or, I like Sam Burns this week, but again, I have some reservations because I don't know how much he's been playing, but if he starts to show a pulse, maybe I'm interested in a little bit live, right? I might lose this number, but I also might get a bigger number if he get off to a slow start and just miss putts at a higher rate than he typically does. So, the no cut thing changes, I think, the dynamic of live finishing position bets, just because you don't have to worry about a guy who might be struggling a little bit. He can just kind of backdoor top 20 for you on the weekend. Xander's the king of that. Xander no smoke Sundays, where he just goes out and tees off at 8 a.m. on a Sunday, throws up a 63 and all of a sudden posts that thing and it holds for the day. He's, the king of that. So I think being able to if you're really getting into this, I think you should really be kind of watching those live markets. But I think it's also smart. People want to chase the chalk, and I think the books adjust so quickly to someone that becomes the favorite on a Friday. And I just think you can really shop around and find some good numbers live if you're looking around.
All right, yeah. So keep an eye on Friday. Try and find those good numbers live. Give me some names that you're looking at that we might not get good prices on live because that you feel like they're going to start the tournament hot and continue to finish that tournament hot. Any names towards the back? Like, are we clicking Jackson Koiven 40-1 right now? Kid's hot. Like, what are we clicking here?
We're absolutely clicking Jackson Koiven at 40-1. Look, we're in a spot, Jay, where this happened with Scotty in particular. And again, I don't want to do this to Jackson Koiven. It's not fair. I'm not saying he's going to be Scotty, but we were in a spot where it felt like, we had these 25s and 30s for Scotty, and it felt like it's just not going to stick around for a while. There's going to be a point where, remember when we bet Scotty at 30, weeks and weeks in a row, and Jackson Koiven's 40-1. Yes, this is a 69-man no cut field. It's the best of the best. The fact that this kid even qualified, making 5 starts for the playoffs, bonkers. But we now have 15 events. Right, his not pro events, but even when he was playing on the PGA Tour, he's played in 15 PGA Tour events. He's ranked inside the top 12 in total driving, which is a cumulative distance accuracy stat. And I talked about that at the top. Matters a ton. He has never finished outside the top 12 in any event that he's teed it up on the PGA Tour. His ball striking is immaculate. He's a fantastic putter. He's struggled the last 2 weeks putting. So I think if he kind of putted to his baseline, we wouldn't even see him at 40 right now. So it feels kind of crazy to be betting this 21-year-old kid who's made 5 PGA starts as a pro up against Scotty, but he won a few weeks ago in Minnesota in the field that Scotty was not only in, but was chasing him down on Sunday, and he held off. So he's just a dog. We need to click 40s because the 40s are going to be gone. And I get that it's a tough sell. Yeah, he just won a couple weeks ago. Is he going to win again? It's like we want form until the guy wins, and then all of a sudden, your form's too good because you won. I think we should be kind of blind backing Koiven at 40 and positional bets. You can get top 20 in ties at plus 105 on FanDuel. I think that's a good look too. I think he's just the baseline's so high for this kid. Yeah,
Koiven, like you mentioned, plus 105 in the T20, and maybe take that all the way up. Any other guys you're liking outright here for just to win?
Yeah, I'm kind of in that same price tier for the rest of the card too. Siwoo Kim has played really good golf. I think other than Tommy Fleetwood, he has the best strokes gained per round metric in the season for a guy who hasn't won, 1.32. 5 top 5s and 10 top 10s. He's just consistently around. And again, similar makeup. He keeps the ball in play off the tee. Ball striking's great. Love him, 33 or so. Russell Henley, same thing. I'm a sucker for Russell Henley, but this is his makeup. He doesn't bogey, keeps the ball in play. Right, he putters it off the tee a little bit, he's got my ball speed off the tee, but he's competitive all the time and always finishing high up, and has some really good Bermuda splits here, which is again the putting surface that we're looking at. I like him quite a bit. I think Colin Morikawa is interesting. I couldn't get there on the price, but I like him in finishing position bets. Same thing with Sam Burns, kind of wait and see from an outright standpoint. My last outright click though was Victor Hovland, who's just kind of trending upward in terms of ball striking. Another guy who has great Bermuda putting splits, keeps the ball in play off the tee, great approach player, struggles around the green, but this is one of the easiest places to gain strokes around the green. It's not a very difficult around the green test for these guys. So those are my 4 outrights. And again, I think, like you said, taking them all the way up, messing around with, take the ties that FanDuel offers you in the finishing position markets. But I think you can, get those plus money numbers on those guys too, in the 10s and 20s.
All right. A quick question from the chat here. Any interest in Ricky Fowler at around 60-1 or in the T5, T10, T20 markets?
Yeah, Ricky's playing better than you think. Actually, on my show on Tuesday, someone asked the same question in chat. It was any thought on Ricky? I'm not going to get there to win. Okay. I think you can target him in, whether you want to look at 2 balls, 3 ball matchups. I think you're mostly getting 2 balls this week with the smaller field. So, in finishing position, he's been competitive. He's driving it well. The putter's been great, which could be a little bit statistically noisy, but he's above baseline, field baseline typically for putting. Yeah, he's playing really good golf. So finishing position bet for me more so than kind of chasing anything in the outrights.
All right, that was coming from TQ in the chat. TQ, appreciate all the questions as always. And he is head-to-head against, Russell Henley, plus 100 versus Russell.
It's a tough
Henley
sell
there.
for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for the 2 ball, it's a little tough over there. Any other stuff you like in terms of matchups? There's the 2-ball matchups. Any match bets you're looking at?
Yeah, I don't love typically, laying a big number or really anything, but like it's a nice Tommy Fleetwood course. Tommy is like minus 160 or so here against Jordan Spieth. Spieth, where he's drove it better this year. And again, he's the only guy in the field that doesn't have a top 10 this year, which is crazy. But just Spieth, where you have to control the ball in play and keep it in play off the tee. There's a lot of water here as well. I like Tommy against Spieth. I think, it's a spot where I'm willing to lay a little bit of juice, even though it's going to cost me a little bit. That's probably I'm not a big matchup guy, but that was one that I went and looked at.
Yeah, plus 100 versus Xander Schauffele. The 2-ball round 1 for Fleetwood Spieth is minus 163 there. Are you like Jeff? Do you not like betting? Or are you like anti-betting first round leader? Or is there anyone you want to give a shout to for first round leader?
Yeah, I don't bet him. What's really interesting, partially because this is so hard to do.
Yes.
And like we're going to take a 72 hole event, which is hard to handicap, and then whittle it down to 18, which is really hard. But I think there are some predictive things in terms of guys that go out early and can post a big number and have that hold. You just get the greens are more pure first thing in the morning. They haven't been trampled on by the entire field. What's interesting is that we have 69 guys in this field. Daniel Berger's not here. So these guys are going off in 2s. So number 70 in the field of this, based off of rankings, is Jackson Koiven. So he's going off solo tomorrow morning, first guy out by himself. Now, some guys maybe don't like that, but he's just alone. He's playing. He doesn't have to worry about anything. So he can post a number. So I like, if I'm going to take a first round leader bet, I like it to be a guy that I obviously have other interest in as well, instead of trying to, thread the needle and get really cute. So Jackson Koiven, I think you can get, 40, 45. I didn't shop it around, but I saw some people talking about that, and I saw the tee time sheet, and I'm like, wow, he's going out by himself. So I think that can be fascinating. Just play around, get in and out 2.5 hours, post a big number, and see if anyone can chase you down later in the day.
Yeah, just another day on the course for Jackson Koiven. It'll be just like I'm sure he's used to doing that all the damn time, doing that alone. That's awesome. 40-1 right now, first round leader on FanDuel. Any other shouts out for bets you want to make, or anything else you're considering here?
The guy, again, I don't think he could win. I think first round leader would be of interest, and maybe a bigger number in the top 20 market is Nico Echeverria. You can get him plus 230 to T20 with ties. This guy it's Bermuda only for this guy. He did it for me last week at Sedgefield. Can get white hot with the putter. Yep. Went and posted, I think he's 61, 62 on Saturday. So I like him to be competitive here. The putter gets really hot. One at a course I would consider a comp course here back in March. PGA National, a lot of water. Obviously, Shane Lowry gave him that one by putting a couple balls in the water on Sunday for him. But hey, we'll get there however we need to. Plus 230 on Echeverria. I like it.
All right, plus 230 on Echeverria. Before you head out here, I want to talk a little bit of football. I know you got you're transitioning towards the football mind. Oh, yeah. Talk me your favorite future that you've bet so far in the NFL.
I shot pretty heavily early on the defensive rookie of the year market.
Okay.
So some of those numbers are cooked, but I'll give you a couple. I'm going to give the listeners some beer and pizza money type bets, Jay. So
I love it.
We're just kind of sprinkling.
All right.
Same thing historically. It's defensive rookie of the year has been pretty edge heavy.
Yep.
But you get these scenarios like we had last year where over at 4-4, we hit Carson Schlesinger at 60. And there's a path for these guys that can play every down, accumulate stats. And then at the same time, if you don't have one of these top tier edge rushers emerge, they kind of fall flat. So if you don't have a great Ruben Baines season or anything like that, you can get some of these guys emerge. 200-1 on FanDuel. Caleb's alarm or linebacker. Yep, that face is something that I've seen before. Linebacker for the Buffalo Bills. I think he's going to win the job at camp.
Okay.
They've struggled the linebacker position. I don't think they want Dorian Williams on the field. This kid's a dog. Put up a ton of tackles, numbers at TCU, 4th round picks, had a good camp. Think he wins this job. But think about where we're going to see the Bills. We're going to see the Bills on prime time. We're going to see the Bills on island games. We're going to see the Bills and, again, towards the playoffs. We're going to get a lot of Bills. And if this kid's on the field and can be a problem, again, it might be LCLVJ, but if we can get it 200 to 1 now, and all of a sudden, after, we get into mid-October and he's sitting at 40, I feel like we got a pretty decent shot and got a chance. So, it's a thin path, but I think it's mispriced, and he has a real path to legit playing time and cumulative stats, which matter.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the angle of like linebackers for defensive rookie of the year, because like, again, like we don't know how good the rookie class is going to be, if they're going to get time, if they're going to be able to accumulate the counting stats. One thing that linebackers do is accumulate counting stats. So I love the Schlesinger look that you guys had last year. I love this Elarms, or even though it wasn't anywhere near my radar, it is right now at 200 to 1. Any hot takes that you have this NFL offseason? Anything that you feel like you are just flying in the face of the consensus opinion? Anything that you have where you're like, I'm going to plant my flag. Everyone else is wrong, and here's why.
Oh man, so I kind of like the Vikings to win the North.
No, come on. Okay, talk me through it. All right, fine. Everyone has their own team to win the North. I feel I'll give you that. All right, talk me through the Vikings though.
Look, so I think there's a little regression on Green Bay. I think we saw it last year towards the tail end of the season and in the playoffs how impactful Micah is.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to get, at least from his own mouth, at least 6 weeks without Micah. That's a problem. I think that the offense is going to be fine. I think there's no problems there, but I think defensively they're thin in a lot of places. They're more thin in the offensive line. I think the schedule for the Lions is insane, but this is another team that, like, we're dealing without your starting safeties to start the year. Your starting number one cornerback was not very good, and that wasn't even on the roster. So we're looking at like Rock Ya-Sin and like Enos Rakestraw and like just some guys that are not necessarily, quarterback 3. And they're going to be taking meaningful reps for the Lions. And the Lions are going to be an over team, I think. They're going to be shootouts. The Bears, I like the Bears. There's obviously, we know all the natural regression to bake into the Bears in terms of, defensive luck, a lot of turnover. So look, O'Connell's kind of a kingmaker, right? Like JJ is almost the only guy that he's kind of touched that hasn't been able to figure it out. Max Bromer, we'll give him Max Bromer, right? That was a couple of bad starts, but look, this was a Cleve had it in his write-up. This is a like top 3 adjusted when you include opponent defense last year. Flores plays that defense and calls that defense like his hair's on fire. I think like Dallas Turner is a nice, like sneaky defensive player of the year. Sprinkle that could, have a solid double-digit sack season. They kind of have depth everywhere. And if Kyler's okay, they have some weapons. I like what they've done there. And again, you can have some other guys fall back, and that becomes an 11-win football team. And look, they won 9 games last year with JJ, right? So there's a path there. So it's like 5-1 plus 550 or so. I just think it should be a little bit closer to where like maybe the Bears and Green Bay are.
Yeah, I honestly, I like the angle there. It's more so also like a fade of the Lions, a fade of the Packers, and I feel like I'm in the same boat here. I like the Vikings a lot this year. I just like the Bears a little bit more. I'm high on Caleb Williams. Everyone knows that. So and plus, like seeing Ben Johnson come out and be like, I want to put up the most points in NFL history. Like I just like, how can you not want to back this guy with real dollars? So like, yeah, honestly, I was a little shocked when you mentioned the Vikings, and it seems like we're on the same page, though, with who we're high on in the NFC North and who we're low on in the NFC North.
Yeah, I like the Bears, too. I don't know how you can not be completely – and I'm here in Chicago. I don't know how you can not be completely enamored with Ben Johnson. And, again, I think they could continue to ascend, or it could fly into the face of some of the natural regression we expect, which is going to happen. I mean, obviously the insane end-of-game stuff, just the turnover variance defensively, I think those things are bound to regress, but they could actually take steps forward too. So I also am a little bit more bullish on the Bears than I think the market is, because for all those reasons you highlighted.
Yeah, I need to find not exact finishing order, but just like first and second in division: Bears, Vikings, Bears, because that's the angle to play here. Ryan, appreciate you joining the show. You can follow Ryan on Twitter at Ryan Noonan, RY Noonan there. Any final thoughts before you head out?
No, appreciate it as always. 4for4.com.
Check out 4for4.
Come bet with us all season. We're going to have a good time.
Yeah, you can check out 4for4 on Twitter at 4for4football as well. Ryan, appreciate you joining the show. We'll chat soon.
Thanks, Jay.
Great stuff there, as always, from Ryan. We're all over Koiven. That's it. I'm convinced. I'm diving head first. Everything Koiven. First round leader. Is there anywhere we can like parlay first round leader with outright winner? Like, give me that. Like 40-1, 40-1. Give that to me. Everything Koiven today. The chat was going absolutely off today. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Ecold, 100% agree on Minnesota. I need to see, you know what? I'll do some work. I'll get back to you guys. I'll see if I can find exact finishing order 1, 2, or not, or dual forecast, I guess would be the better way to play it here. But yeah, Amber saying it's freezing in Chicago. Think of the playoffs. Oh my goodness. Appreciate you guys in the chat. Shout out Amber, shout out TQ, shout out Ecolt, shout out Chosen. Appreciate you guys chatting all throughout the entire show. Shout out to our guests, Ryan. Shout out to TA. Shout out to Jaleel, keeping everything nice and smooth. Before we head out here quickly, want to remind you guys about our friends over at BetStem, because if you're serious about betting props, the hard part is not finding an edge, it's scaling it. BetStem Pro is built to grow your volume and your ROI. Every player prop and alternate line across 200 plus sportsbooks on one screen in real time. Priced against BetStem's True Line, a proprietary model weighted per market and prop type. Bias corrected, producing the most efficient, sharpest props pricing reference in the industry. Catch off-market props the second they appear across more markets and more alt lines than anywhere else, so you can get more money down at a bigger edge more often. Scan the QR code on screen or use the link in the description to apply. That's betstamp.com/hammer. Connor in the chat saying Packers are going to be the odd team out in the NFC North. I agree. I hate the Packers. I hate the Lions. I'm just down on both of them. And the Restore the Roar on Twitter is going to clip this, and after the Lions are like get 10 wins, they're going to be like, these guys are down on the Lions. Yeah, I'm down on the Lions. Sorry. Every year you're removed from Ben Johnson is just like, I believe in this team less and less. Anyways, appreciate you guys tuning in. You guys know the drill. Smash the like button. Hit that subscribe button. If you're watching this after that, comment down below. Let us know your thoughts on the NFC North, who you think is going to win. Football season is almost back. We're exactly a month away. Appreciate you guys tuning in. This has been the Wednesday, August 12th edition of the Hammer Daily here on the Hammer Betting Network, presented by our good friends over at FanDuel. We'll see you guys right here tomorrow.